Hello and welcome back to the 2018 Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP season. Today, it's time for the second race using the Formula Hybrids and 10th round of the year. We're in Austria at the Red Bull Ring, a circuit that is very familiar to VGP and a circuit that suits these extreme single-seaters very well. My name is Justin, and I'll be taking you through all the action today alongside Chris.
3 rounds to go in this VGP 2018 calendar as we have touched down on the shores of Austria, and this is how the standings look. Michael Schmidl, of course, is our champion, but a big battle for second with Stefanko and Dolezal tied on 113. Blazek is not far behind on 109. Then you've got Schlebeck and Polesny in short succession, 82-72, with Honzik just a couple of points further down. Sekura, Kostalik, Zubek, Prohaska and Lucas are how the rest of the standings fall. So here's a comparison from the GT3 to the C9 season for Andrei Schlebeck. A podium for the C9, 2 top 5 finishes and 41 points is how Schlebeck handled the mighty Mercedes C9. Didn't get to grips with the GT3 at all, as you can see, but gave it his best all the same. But overall, from looking at where he was in the 2017 season, he is still ahead on points. So here is the battle for second, as previously mentioned. A 4-way battle with 3 races to go. 2 drivers on 113 points. Martin Stefanko for Republic of Gamers and Peter Dolezal for Seco Plus. Just 4 points behind is Michael Blazek in the Lenovo Legion car, showing how well consistency can really help a driver. Andrei Schlebeck, despite his previous difficulties in the season, is still in there with 82 points to go. Dolezal and Blazek are struggling with the Formula Hybrid car. They are not confident on their performance for the rest of the season, but you never know. They can still pull out some amazing results, and Schlebeck is amongst the fastest in the hybrid car. So again, that is really going to help his chance to get further up the field.
And taking a look at the driver of the day in Silverstone, it was Chlebets actually in the Alza Gaming car. A fantastic result for him. He's been driving really, really well this season. The Red Bull Ring, 4.3 kilometers, 9 turns, depending on which track map you look at, of course. It is going to be 19 degrees Celsius air temperature, 22 degrees Celsius track temperature, and of course, clear skies as well. And now let's take a look back at 2016, when Michael Schmidl had a bit of an oops-a-daisy coming out of the final corner here at the Red Bull Ring, and that did allow actually Jaroslav Honzik to pick up his first ever win in Virtual GP. As we go on board with the Big Shock driver at the time, the number 97 car, Michael Schmidl, just gets it a bit wrong, bit of opposite lock coming out of that final corner. And then in 2017 as well, it seems that Michael Schmidl just really does not like this final corner at Austria here at the Red Bull Ring. As we go on board, once again, you can see he just gets on the curb and just a bit of a slide as well. However, this time he did not lose the position to Martin Stefanko as he came back at him, started to attack him into turn 2 at Remus, but couldn't go around the outside in the Republic of Gamers car, and Michael Schmidl did hold on to that position. But it has been historically, interestingly enough, a track where he makes mistakes. He didn't make any mistakes, though, today in qualifying, setting a 103.6, almost a quarter of a second quicker than Martin Stefanko. Of course, Chlebets in 3rd position, just a 10th slower than Stefanko. Then we've got Honzik and Kostalik, Polesny and Blazek, Dolezal and Sekura, and then Zubek, Prohaska, and Robin Lucas in the Sandisk car, bringing up the rear, all drivers within 2 seconds. And speaking of all the drivers, we've got all of them on the screen for you now, except for Martin Stefanko. Maybe he's off going to the bathroom before the race, getting some water. He's going to hydrate, possibly. No idea. But of course, these are the men that will be taking us around this fantastic Red Bull Ring as we prepare now for the lights to come on and then go out. And as we mentioned, it is Michael Schmidl on that pole position with Martin Stefanko alongside of him. Everyone on the Super Softs except for Kostalik and Prohaska. Here we go with the 6 lights from the Red Bull Ring for the 10th round of the 2018 Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP season. It looks like a good start for all of the drivers, and especially for Michael Schmidl, actually, as he holds on. A bit of battling going on between Chlebets and Honzik. Oh, and Honzik has gone spinning around, and Dolezal as well too, who is involved in that very tight battle for second position in the championship, and that's actually going to allow Kostjulik as well to go right up to the back of Chlebets and challenge for that third place position. We'll have to see if there's going to be, oh, but we got some battling now for the lead of this race as Martin Stefanko is going to try and go around the outside on Michael Schmidl, but no, he covers him off, takes the racing line, and Schmidl stays ahead. Incredible racing we're seeing already. We're only a few corners into this Red Bull Ring race, but man, that was some really, really good stuff, and we're already seeing battling for the lead, which is something we've missed out quite a bit of at a few circuits this year, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. But once again, Stefanko just proving to Michael Schmidl, you may be the champion, you may have won the war, but you still have got to fight to bring home the top honors in this race. But yeah, what a terrible start for Dolezal in particular, falling right the way down to the tail of the field. That's really going to undo his charge for second position. That's Kostjulik in the Xiaomi gig. There is Zubek in the Avas. He's putting it all, really getting close to the rear wing of the Legion car of Michael Blazek. Now going to try an outside maneuver at turn 3. Can he get that one slowed down? Just about. The Legion car hanging on in there, but maintains that position through through turn 2. But he's not done on that particular move now. Back in the slipstream to the jump to the outside once again. Wow, there's a very late break. Can he get it done? It's going to be run out of room by Blazek. That's firm and fair, but he's still hanging on in there. He wants the apex for turn 5 at Pirelli and manages to get it done. Blazek backs out of that one. Now we've got Jan Seeker and the Lynx car wants to get involved in this particular battle as well. We're only on lap 2 and we have got battles throughout the field. This is exactly what we love from VGP, and once again our drivers don't disappoint us.
Yeah, these Formula Hybrid cars are really stretching their legs at this Red Bull Ring as they make their way through the final corner. A bit wide there for Blazek. Is that going to put him under attack from Jan Seeker on the run down towards turn 1 as we start lap number 3? He's up the inside. Can he make the move? Blazek goes very, very wide, actually going off the track almost, trying to open up that first corner as much as he possibly can. He's got Robin Lucas right behind him as well, too. He's going to fight back at the Lynx car. He'll have to go around the long way, around the outside at turn 2, almost making contact there as they get into the braking zone for that corner. And it looks like Jan Seeker will hold on to that position for the meantime. But here comes Blazek actually coming back at him. Again, these are very advanced hybrid cars, so it's a very different sort of driving style compared to what we saw with the C9 and the GT3 cars. And there we see Seekera and Blazek still going side by side. Seekera around the outside. He'll have the inside, though, for these double left-handers, which surely will give him the position, and it does indeed. The Lynx car holds on. Oh, and in the background there, that's Robin Lucas going for a bit of a spin. That's going to drop him down right down into last position, and there is Robin Lucas, who is also last in the championship, but he does have points. We've seen every driver score points this season, which we absolutely love to see. Fastest lap being set by Martin Stefanko as well, as we see him using all of the track as well too, similar to Blazek, really using all of that curbing on the outside at the entrance of turn 1, and he is still on the hunt for our new champion, our 2018 Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP champion, Michael Schmidl. You can see Schmidl using that same effect, so these guys are using all of the track and then some to try and eke out as many tenths as they can. Oh, and here comes Blazek on the inside on Seekera. This battle is far from over, but a good exit from the Lynx driver sees him hold on to that 7th place position, and this is all great news for the drivers ahead of them. Of course, Zubek is really starting to pull away. Kostjulik as well, who is on the softs, worth pointing out, so Kostjulik could really be a threat later in this race, Chris.
That was a beautiful move by Jan Seeker. He realized what Blazek was doing, kept a cool head, and did a perfect switchback. And look at the gap he's got for himself. That's already 0.6 of a second between the Lynx car and the Lenovo Legion car. Blazek has got Hansik and Dolezal in very, very short succession as well. And again, they are jumping onto that rumble strip by quite some distance. That is Kostjulik, who's got a lot of company there from Zubek, so even he can't relax. There's that big train we were looking at previously. And that's on board with the second plus of Dolezal. He is actually getting to the back of that particular train. Oh, wow, that is Hansik ahead of him. Oh, and that just shows how much torque goes through the rear wheels. The tail was not quite ready to have that much power put down onto the tarmac. Now we're seeing some amazing moves here. These cars have amazing amounts of downforce, but of course a lot of power, so they can carry that speed with that extra grip to great effect. That's how we're seeing several side-by-side maneuvers going on, and Austria really lends itself well. It's a fairly high-speed track. It's quite short. in its lap time as well. Oh, and look at the amount of pressure the Kodiak is under from Peter Zubak. That's a lot he's having to deal with, as well as keeping that what can be quite a tricky handful of a car. They're doing pretty well to keep it on the straight and narrow, but we have seen a few mistakes already. Oh, and is he going to have a look on the inside of turn 8? That's brave and that's committed, and there you go. That's a prime example of how much grip these cars have got. That's a very fast right-hander at turn 8, and Peter Zubak now up to 5th.
Yeah, the benefit of those super soft tires really helping him quite a bit. He relegates Kodiak down into 6th position. Again, though, he is running on soft, so he's definitely going to be one to watch. But Zubak making moves. This is more sort of the 2017 Zubak, which we were expecting coming into this season, but it seems maybe he's just a bit more at home in the single-seaters, but he is going to have to defend as Kodiak tries to go around the outside, but gets his braking a little bit wrong, and Zubak is able to hold on. But a great exit, actually, out of that turn 2. Could see Kodiak pressure him around the outside as they descend the hill down into turn 3. He's going to go around the outside a bit later, braking as well for Kodiak. And of course, as this race goes on, the softs on that Xiaomi Geek car are going to continue to be good, while the super softs are not. But Zubak comes back at him inside line for the first left-hander, gets the job done before the second left-hander, and he's back up into 5th position. And this is fantastic racing we're seeing between the Avast car and the Xiaomi Geek car. But now we've got some real pressure coming on. Kodiak is going to be around the outside. No, he's going to actually lose that position to Sikora, who goes up the inside through the penultimate corner as we go on board with Blazek in the Lenovo Legion car. He's now onto the back of Kodiak, and he smells blood after seeing him get overtaken so easily by Jan Sikora. And of course, Blazek is involved in that battle for 2nd position in the championship. Oh, big mistake for Kodiak. That's going to lose him at least 1 position, 2 positions, as the Thrustmaster car of Yaroslav Hanzik makes his way past as well on the long run down towards turn 2. And that is down to 9th position now for Martin Kodiak. He was up in 5th position just a couple of laps ago, so he has really lost out pretty significantly, and Dolezhel is right behind him as well too, so it is very, very close. And now we've got Hanzik going around the outside of Kodiak at turn 3, and he's going to make that move work pretty well. So if I'm Kodiak at this point, though, I got to keep my head down, keep doing what you're doing. He's holding these guys up, he's hanging on to those tires, he's got the harder compound that's gonna run longer into the race. He's doing well considering, you know, where he started, the tires he started on, all of that stuff. He is going to lose another position here to Dolezhel, but again, he is going to be faster towards the end of this race on the super softs, you would imagine, as we come to the end of the 7th lap and start the 8th lap of this Austrian Grand Prix. And some more fantastic battling as Sikora is having a look at Zubak, and Blazek again showing us that alternate line coming into turn 1, just really trying to open up that first corner as much as possible. Sikora, though, tucked into the slipstream on the run down towards turn 2. He'll go to the outside, and if he can be later on the brakes, this should be a fairly easy move, but it is another right-hander at the end. It's going to be 3 wide coming out of the corner, but Jan Sikora under traction gets the position. He's up into 5th. Zubak is right behind him, Blazek as well. This is very, very close battling. This is fantastic stuff, seeing the Avast car trying to go around the outside, gets a bit of a squeeze, but no carbon fiber shred or anything like that. This is incredible racing. Oh, up the inside as well for Zubak, but no, he thinks better of it and stays behind. And that is a very close sequence of 5 cars here, Chris.
We've had 5th to 10th in very, very short succession for quite a while. Our soft runners, Kodiak and Prohaska, are beginning to fall a bit off the back of the... Wow, that's very committed and very, very wide from Blazek. But yeah, what a great sequence of overtakes and re-overtakes we've just witnessed. And you actually saw Jan Sikora try and break the toe of that whole train behind him. Once again, though, the 2 MSs, it's Stefanko and Smidl, are battling for the lead. No matter what Smidl does, Stefanko has got the answer. Smidl ever so slightly quicker in the very last lap, but there is nothing in it, not even a 10th between the pair of them. They've been trading fastest laps, and once again Stefanko finds himself staring at the back of that particular rear wing. Here is Blazek in the leading car. Dolezhel actually got past him in the second plus. That's wow, that's not a lot of room there. But Blazek trying to get that position back. We didn't see the overtake from Dolezhel. We can see just ahead of them. That's Hanzik and Zubak battling for 6th as well. This train has not resolved its battles by any stretch. But that is, of course, allowing Sikora in 5th to start to stretch his legs, to try and get away from the immediate pressure, to try and chase after what is now quite a big gap between himself and Pelesny. As a driver that's had very little to worry about for a while is Wojtek Polesny, but here come the leaders again, and wow, Smiddle feeling the need to go very defensive, and Smiddle running out of road, but has managed to keep the car pointing in the correct direction. Wow, Smiddle's not afraid to get his elbows out. He may be the champion, but he is defending for everything he's worth. He wants that clean sweep of wins throughout this season. Here we go again. That's Honzik with a lot of pressure behind him. Yet again, Stefanko closing back in on Michael Smiddle, and side by side, that's Dolezal and Honzik then. Dolezal still trying to recover from that first lap incident with the person he's now trying to overtake. Both Honzik and Dolezal were down at the tail end of the field, and oh, that's getting very close to the Avast gaming car of Peter Zubek. Now coming through turns 3 and 4. It is it's still going on. We are on lap 10 now, and these guys are still fighting for every inch of track.
Frantic is the word that I would use to describe the battling we're seeing in the midfield here today in Austria.
We love it.
Yeah, this is fantastic stuff. Great to see Dolezal getting back ahead of Blazek. Of course, those two guys involved deeply in that second place battle for the championship. Stefanko as well is part of that battle, and as is Klebets as well, who's currently in third. Stefanko would be the one to come out on top if everything was to finish this way, but of course we do still have 27 laps of racing here in Austria, so it's not over just yet. Schmidl again going defensive to the inside line at turn 3. That's going to lose him just a little bit of time, and you can see it says Magic Michael right on the back of his wing as they come in through turns 4 into turn 5, and oh, that's a big slide for the Lenovo Legion car of Michael Blazek, and that could lose him a position to Peter Dolezal as they go side by side down the hill towards turn 3. Dolezal does have the advantage at the moment. Blazek a little bit later on the brakes as they're side by side through the corner, and with that inside line, Blazek does hold on to that position, or actually regain that position in 7th. Both of those guys, of course, on the super softs. Meanwhile, Jaroslav Honzik is still onto the back of Peter Zubek. Really we're not seeing huge gaps beginning to form, aside from the gap between 2nd and 3rd, as Stefanko and Schmidl have really started to pull away from Klebets. We're seeing 6 or 7 seconds or so between those guys as we start another lap. We're on to lap 12 now with the leaders as they make their way through turn 2, up the hill to the highest point on the circuit, and then descending down towards turn 3. And Stefanko is in hot pursuit. He's not able to make anything happen in this corner. Yeah, he's going to be a bit too far back to make anything happen there. A bit of a different line compared to the 2018 champion as they head through turn 4 and on to turns 5 and 6 at the double left-handers. This is the part of the circuit where, of course, you want that downforce. The first part of the circuit up to about turn 3, you really want as little downforce as possible. You want a nice slippery car heading into turn 1, turn 2, and turn 3, but then you get to the middle part of the circuit, and indeed the end part, as they're demonstrating for us now, you really need that downforce for those high-speed final corners, the double rights. And here we go with Honzik and Zubek once again. Zubek taking a very, very late apex into that first left-hander, and Honzik did close up a little bit at the entrance, but then lost a bit of that time. He's got Blazek just behind him as well, as Blazek is starting to stretch his legs and put a little space between himself and Dolezal. Again, those guys involved in the second place battle, and of course, any positions that they can pick up in this race is going to help them in that second place battle, because at the moment, Stefanko and Klebets are in 2nd and 3rd position. So they're going to be in the best spot, as Jan Sikra is going to be the first to come into the pits. He's going to get rid of that set of super softs that are now 12 laps old, and we'll see what compound he's going to go on. But while that's going on, Honzik is going to go around the outside of Zubek. Oh, contact at several points during that corner, in fact, and now Michael Blazek is going to get involved as well. He's straight onto the back, tucked underneath the rear wing of Jaroslav Honzik. He's going to go defensive on the run down towards turn 3. They'll be side by side. Later on the brakes is Honzik, though, and he holds on to that position, but only momentarily. He really needs to try and find a way past Zubek if he wants to get out of that battle with the guys behind him. If he wants to avoid doing battle with Blazek and Dolezal, he's going to have to get on and make this overtake on Zubek in the Avast car. So Honzik is definitely the one under the most pressure, I would say, in this battle for 5th position currently. But as you mentioned before, Chris, Wojtek Polesny running around in 4th position, a pretty quiet 4th position, a couple seconds adrift of Klebets, but then a big old gap down to Zubek. But it's been a good race so far for the Predator Blue car.
Absolutely. And the Predator Red is the one that's leading the way once more. And there is the Alza Gaming car of Slebek in third position, very much on his own. It has been for a while. Here we are back to this train again. Honzik is trying to get back into the rhythm. I think the best of these tyres are gone. Oh, he tried to turn in before that Avast car was out of the way. Oh. Big problem, huge impact with the Nova Legion car. Oh, Blazic was just an innocent bystander, and that one, huge incident between those two. That drops Zubek then down to 8th. That's Kostalik right behind him. He could well lose that position as well. In comes Stefenko from 2nd. He very briefly got the lead there. He's actually managed to nose ahead of the pit lane. So we can actually say Stefenko has led a race at some point in the season. Yeah, so that's actually elevated Dolozhal in the second box car, now up to 6th position, as he now tries to chase Honzik after that earlier altercation we just saw. But I wouldn't be at all surprised if we start seeing a flurry of cars coming in to get rid of those super softs. I noticed Dolozhal particularly was really struggling to get the power down into the tarmac, the tail just wiggling around everywhere. Smiddle continuing on his merry way. That's the Sandis car of Robin Lucas. He's put a lap on, but of course Smiddle will be in very, very soon, I would imagine, if nothing else, to cover off Stefenko in that freshly reshod car. Now on the soft tyres. Here is Kostalik and Zubek. Oh, that is again close, locking up a little bit coming through that turn 2. Now streaming back downhill again. Here and there he is, race leader, as I thought. Oh, nearly collected the wall there. It's Smiddle, as I thought he would come in to cover off Stefenko. So is this going to be an opportunity? Will Stefenko, has he had a good enough outlap to try and gain the lead? It's going to be close.
Yeah, it's going to be very close as he makes his way through the final corner. We want to watch this battle, of course, because this is for the lead of the 10th round of the 2018 Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP season. On the rundown towards turn 1, and it looks like Schmidl is going to stay ahead. Stefenko comes out. He will be carrying a little bit more speed in comparison to Schmidl. We'll see if it's enough speed to actually put him alongside. It does not look like it will be, as Schmidl possibly deploying all of his ERS there, using absolutely everything at his disposal to try and stay ahead of Martin Stefenko, who is still behind and now has 1 lap older tires as well too. Worth pointing out, I think, that Jan Sikra, when he came into the pits, fitted another set of super softs. So it seems that he is maybe going for a 2-stop strategy, which would support why he came into the pits so much earlier compared to everybody else. But here we go with Blazek getting overtaken by the Alza Gaming car of Hlebets, who has been into the pits and fitted a set of soft tires, and those brand new softs clearly working well compared to the used super softs, as Wojtek Polesny, who was leading this race temporarily, he's going to come in as well at the end of lap 15 for a set of softs, which means he would be on for a 23-lap stint if he does indeed go onto a set of softs, which one would expect. But Michael Blazek currently running in 7th position. He's going to dive into the pits as well. It looks like Peter Dolezal just ahead of him is having a bit of an exciting pit entrance as well too. Yeah, a couple of slides there for the Vodafone car of Prohaska. That's definitely going to lose him a pretty significant amount of time, and Polesny is going to come out ahead of Hlebets. That is very interesting. So in the battle for 3rd position, but Hlebets isn't giving it up so easily. He's going to try to go around the outside at turn 2 in the Alza Gaming car, but it hasn't quite worked out for him. And he is now down into 4th position as Polesny takes the final podium position with what one would assume an incredible in-lap and out-lap. But also we saw Hlebets getting a little bit of traffic as well too. So that could have played into that. So, but very interesting to see how that's worked out. And Prohaska is, he's now coming under attack from Sikra. I don't believe Prohaska has pit just yet, though. No, he is still running on that set of softs, I think, which would explain why he was sliding around so much. So it wouldn't surprise me to see the Vodafone driver coming into the pits any minute now, possibly at the end of this lap, as he now has Michael Blazek coming up behind him. And we'll see if Blazek can make his way past. Oh, and that's a really strange incident for Thomas Prohaska.
Yeah.
That's a really, really strange one. I mean, I would almost say lag, but of course these guys are all in the same building. There's no such thing as lag in VGP. So yeah, that's a very, very strange one as we turn our focus to the leaders once again, and there is still practically nothing between the two of them, less than a 10th between their last lap. So again, just showing how close they are in performance. No surprise that the Haas F1 team wanted to pick them up for the F1 Esports with how similar in pace these guys are. And you can see Stefanko using all of the track and then some. Don't forget, guys, you can be a part of our prediction game competition where you can win a Mercedes-Benz Black Edition Business Chronograph watch. All you have to do is predict the top 3, the pole position, and who sets the fastest lap. And if there will be a full course yellow as well. So make sure you guys head over to our website if you want to be a part of that and have a chance at winning that incredible Mercedes-Benz watch. But we turn our attention once again to the Alza gaming car of Chlebets, who has been relegated down into 4th position and off the podium, which would be great news for Stefanko in the battle for 2nd, because it really was seeming like Chlebets might be a kind of late season challenger for that 2nd place position in the championship, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, whilst we have still 3 rounds to do, this will certainly put a dent in that. Interestingly, Polesny came back out on super softs again, so I think he may well have to come in for another stop, so that's going to hurt his charge towards the front as we see Stefanko once again using every bit of road he possibly can and still kicking up a bit of dust behind him. There is Chlebets as he's trying his best to hang on to the back of Polesny, but of course Polesny on the softer rubber is pulling away from the Alza gaming car, and it doesn't look like at the moment that Chlebets will have an answer, but if he realises that Polesny's on the softer rubber, then he may opt to just kind of run his own race, and on the understanding that Polesny is probably going to have to pit again to get rid of them. Jumping down to Jan Sikora now in 7th in the Leans car. He too is a super soft runner at the moment. He is closing in on the 2nd plus car of Dolezal, and now that is the view from Smiddle, and that's the view he's enjoyed for pretty much the whole season. Absolutely nowhere near him, but of course he still has his mirrors full of Stefanko, and that carries on. He may well be used to running up front, but he certainly improved his defensive racecraft if nothing else, because he's been under pressure almost every single round. May not necessarily be fighting wheel to wheel with Stefanko, but Stefanko has been there or thereabouts for most of the rounds in this season.
Yeah, it's been very close, as you would expect. It was extremely close all throughout 2017. In fact, it came down right to the wire. And as we saw in the kind of pre-show run-up to this race, Michael Smiddle has a certain history with making mistakes at the final corner. And in 2016, he did it on the final lap, which allowed Jaroslav Hanzik to come through and pick up his maiden victory in Virtual GP. So the race is certainly far from over. It is more than half over, though. We passed half distance a couple of laps ago, but we could still see an issue for Michael Smiddle in that final corner, because he just seems to have some sort of fundamental hatred for that final corner, or vice versa. Maybe the corner just really doesn't like him. I'm not sure what it is, but he really has a history at that corner, and we'll see if that comes into play later on. Let's now focus, though, on the battle between Dolezal and Sikora. This is for 6th position at the moment. Of course, in 5th position right now is Martin Kostulik, who has not come into the pits yet. He is still running around on the same set of soft compound tires that he started the race on. However, if he is going for a one-stop and looking to fit the super softs at the end, then I would say he is on the right pace. He could be due to come into the pits really anytime in the next 5 laps. I would say we could see Kostulik come in for a fresh set of super softs. The later, of course, he pushes that, then the more he can push those super softs. And so he's really going to be managing those tires. Meanwhile, we've got the battle for the non-points paying positions going on. Thomas Prohaska holding on to that 11th place with those soft tires, but only narrowly ahead of the Sandisk car of Robin Lucas, who is closing up right up to the back of him. He has a little peek up the inside, possibly just to avoid the dirty air and get the car slowed down nice and well. So that battle is still going on. Meanwhile, Dolezal versus Sikora. We'll see if Sikora can get the exit that he needs out of turn 1 to mount a challenge into turn 2. Under braking, they seem pretty similar. No squirming of the car, as they're enjoying a little bit fresher tires now, so they don't have to worry about that too much. But of course, you guys can vote for your driver of the day, virtualgp.eu/driver of the day. You can send your votes in for round 10 before October 4th. Of 2018 if you want to be involved in that. Again, Chlebets picking up that driver of the day last time out for round 9, and a well-deserved driver of the day as well. Truly an impressive drive. And let's just take a quick peek at these two drivers. You can actually see Sikora just going for a little bit of a nose scratch. You never know when you might need to give your nose a little bit of a scratch. That's not the best place of the circuit to scratch your nose. I would have picked between turns 1 and 2 if I were him personally, but Kostulik still holding on to that 5th place position on those worn soft compound tires. And here we go with Robin Lucas up the inside at turn 3. Prohaska not quite giving him enough room, I would say there, but Lucas is actually going to let him back through, and he picks up blue flags as well for Michael Schmidl and Martin Stefanko. It doesn't seem that either of them was affected too massively. No, it actually, now that, yeah, it's seeming like Stefanko is getting hindered a little bit more by the traffic than Michael Schmidl was, but we do get the blue flags for Robin Lucas as well, too, and he does get out of the way nicely of Martin Stefanko. Overall, I would say Martin probably losing a few tenths or so as a result of navigating that traffic as Prohaska comes into the pits at the end of lap 23. What would be lap 22 for him, though, actually, because, of course, he is a lap down. This is, again, Dolezal and Sikora, and these guys have been battling it out for a while, and it doesn't look like this is going to stop anytime soon, as the Seiko Plus car leads the way in 6th position with a decent-sized gap to Kostulik up ahead, who, again, though, has not stopped. He is going to lose a few positions, one would expect, possibly all the way down to 9th. I would say when he comes into the pits, we could see him feed out there, but he's probably not going to be threatening the podium positions, but he could certainly get involved in this battle between Dolezal and Sikora, because, of course, these guys' tires are getting older and older, while Kostulik is still yet to come in for his fresh set of Supersofts. If he were to come in now, he would only need to run a 14-lap stint on those Supersofts, and the track is fairly rubbered in. I mean, you can see how much rubber is on the track there, as Jan Sikora tries to make use of that rubber on the track, but he goes a little bit deep into turn 2, and Dolezal maintains that 6th place position as he makes a bit of a change there on his wheel, possibly. I'm not sure what that was, but I don't think that was an intentional overtake attempt there. However, he is going to get really good traction coming out of that corner. He's being pushed into the grass. Surely he can't go around the outside of the Seiko Plus car. No, he can't, as they make their way through the double left-handers. But at the moment, you have to say, Chris, that Sikora is seeming like the stronger of these two drivers.
Absolutely. Dolezal was doing a great job with that recovery drive, as previously mentioned, but he does seem to sort of hit a bit of a plateau at the moment and doing everything he can to keep that Lynx car behind him. Once again, referring to our top 2, and regularly in the 105s, these guys, as generally the rest of the field are in the 106s to 107s. Oh, there's Stefanko again running very wide, coming through 5 and 6. Here is the Lynx car of Jan Sikora. He has lost quite a bit of time on the back of Peter Dolezal as well. You too having a bit of a nose scratch. Taking your advice between 1 and 2 there. But doing everything he can to try and keep up with that Seiko Plus car. But I must say, I'm very impressed with how Dolezal just handled that early problem he's had. Is now up into a solid 6th position. At the moment, he's the one who would be getting my vote for Driver of the Day.
Yeah, I mean, and I would say that's well-deserved because, yeah, with that incident early in the race, but he kept his head down, kept his cool, and he now finds himself in what is essentially 5th position, because again, Kostulik is yet to pit. And actually, I would, if I were Kostulik's pit engineer, which of course he doesn't have one, but I would have him come in immediately, as Michael Blazek doing a bit of battling now with Jan Sikora. So Blazek is kind of scything his way through the field. He caught up to the back of that, actually. So Sikora losing a position to Blazek, and he's got Hanzik right behind him as well, too. So it seems that Blazek and Hanzik have quietly been closing in on this battle for 6th position. They've already made, or at least Sikora has already lost a position to Blazek, but it looks like he might lose another position to Hanzik here. He's not going to be close enough into turn 2, but Hanzik very late on the brakes, closes up massively onto the back of that Lynx car in his Thrustmaster car. It looks like Sikora, though, with a good exit coming out of turn 2, and he is going to hold on to that position, one would assume, through turn 3. And then, of course, no real overtaking locations after turn 3 for the rest of the lap. No, not real overtaking locations anyway. So we'll see if Kostulik is going to come in at the end of this lap and finally fit that set of Supersofts that we've been predicting for quite some time now, as Hanzik is doing well, actually, to keep up to the back of Jan Sikora in that Lynx car up ahead. Hanzik running the soft, Sikora still on those Supersofts as well, too. So one would assume that Sikora as well is going to have to come into the pits, because I don't believe he was one of the cars that started on the softs. There was only 2 of them, so... Oh, and that is Prohaska, and he was one of the cars that did start on softs, actually. And it looks like he's had a bit of a spin. It looks like at the exit of turn 1. I think that was the pit exit that I was seeing just behind him, potentially. But Hanzik doing his best to try and get past Secret. Blazek did it so well on the same tire compound, but it seems the Thrustmaster driver having a little bit harder time with Secret.
It does look like it. Hanzik having to take some rather unusual... Oh, no! Speaking of which, there is Hanzik having to reverse as he's put his nose into the wall. He's staring at the ambulance. I hope he didn't think he needed it. But now back underway, and that's dropped it all the way down to 10th. What a disaster! You can see on his face, bottom right-hand corner, second one in, shaking his head. He is not happy about that, but once again, the MSs are around about half a second. They are looking set to get their battle for the lead back underway with 10, well, just over 10 laps to go at the moment. But it looks like we're going to be seeing these two chasing each other down to the flag as Kostalik has brought his car in. So don't discount him. His car is going to be going on to the softer rubber. There he is. So let's see how he recovers then. And that is Secret coming in behind him. So that's not gone well for the Lynx car then. He's going to, of course, lose a lot of time then. Now Kostalik gets back underway. So we just saw there was Zubek going through. There goes Hanzik. And now back on the track with some with Ultra Softs going on today. And why not? They've got 10 laps to do on those tyres, so why not give it everything you've got, give it qualifying laps. But he's got the leaders right behind him, so he may have to get out of the way for blue flags. And let's see how the top 2 handle that particular situation. Coming through turn 2 now, streaming up to and over the crest, now back downhill again. Stefenko is once again trying to find any opportunity he can. He'll see that back marker is there and just hope that that will catch Schmidl out. And of course, the mistakes you mentioned earlier, Justin, will be playing on Schmidl's mind. No matter how good you are, if you're a little prone to a particular mistake at a crucial moment of the race, that does play on your mind. So he will have to kind of bear that in mind and do what he can to try and prevent that particular mistake. Stefenko is right under the rear wing of Schmidl now. The pressure's really beginning to mount for our leader as they come through the final turn. Can Schmidl hang on? Both of them getting a pretty decent drive out of that last turn. Looking back from the Predator red car and nearly impact between themselves. Stefenko gets very, very squirrely under braking, and that is going to give Schmidl a big old bit of breathing space. But that was so close. It was a prime opportunity for Stefenko, but sadly didn't quite go his way.
That was incredible stuff. Loved that shot looking backwards as we could see exactly how close Stefenko got to Schmidl. And it was incredibly close as Kostulik now is going to go side by side with Hanzik. Kostulik did end up feeding out into that 9th place position. He went for a very interesting strategy going soft, ultra soft, which actually it didn't make a huge difference to Sikora. So Sikora did a 2-stop, super soft, ultra soft, and they're only separated by about 2 seconds. So I was kind of questioning Sikora's 2-stop strategy, but honestly, it seems to have worked out about as well as Kostulik's 1-stop strategy. So I really can't fault him too much there as they make their way out of the final corner. Of course, Kostulik is on the ultra softs, much fresher ultra softs, worth pointing out, compared to the softs on the Thrustmaster car of Yaroslav Hanzik as they get very, very close through turn 1. Tucked in underneath, getting that slipstream. Of course, Hanzik is going to go defensive. He's going to hold that inside line on the run down towards turn 2. Let's see if Kostulik can be later on the brakes. Yes, he can. He takes the apex, in fact, and he is going to move up into 8th position. He did end up feeding out after all of the pit stops and everything. He did end up feeding out into that 9th place position that I predicted. So, and it's working out well for him. He is now up into 8th. He's got a few seconds up ahead to Zubek, but then a big gap up to Dolezhel and Blazek in that battle for 5th position. And we are definitely running out of laps as Polesny makes his way into the pits and out of the pits as well. And he will rejoin the race in 4th position with a pretty significant gap to Hlebets up ahead, you have to say as well. He is now on the fresh Ultra Softs compared to the used softs of Hlebets, though, so we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that gap. I have to say, I'm not entirely optimistic about Polesny's chances to get that 3rd place position back. However, I imagine that is his goal. And he's got a big old gap down to that battle between Dolezal and Blazek. Speak of the devil, and he shall appear. And these two are going side by side once again on the rundown towards turn 3. Dolezal around the outside in the Seiko Plus car. Blazek with the inside line in the Legion car. He does run a little bit wide at the exit. That could put Dolezal, yeah, on his right-hand side. He's got a good exit out of 3, through 4, and into 5. That is a lovely move for Peter Dolezal to take that 5th place position from Michael Blazek. And I really, really enjoyed that one. That was a fantastic maneuver. And not many laps to go, as I mentioned before. And it's really great to see how the differing strategies are really playing out. I have to say, Chris, more than any other race we've seen this season, I think we've seen a lot more variety in the strategies, and that's really helped to make this race really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's still time to be gained, particularly with those on the ultra soft tyres. It is possible for them to really press on and close in the gap once again. Back up to the front. It is the two MS's. Smiddle still fending off Stefenko. Once again, the Republic of Gamers car is underneath the Predator Red rear wing. As they come around turn 1, streaming on down the hill, and then back through they go. They've got some back markers ahead of them, and once again Stefenko just hoping for that little bit of luck, that one mistake, that one break of concentration, and he may then challenge for the lead. Decent drive out of 2. Oh, and that's Kostelik on Zubek for... Oh, that was very close. As Kostelik using those ultra soft brilliantly well. Here is Zubek chasing the Xiaomi Geek car, but he's going to... wow, Wojciech Polesny. It's been a while since we've seen a name on the fastest lap board other than the lead 2. And Polesny doing a brilliant job with those ultra soft tyres. As again... oh, and another snap there from Stefenko. We've seen Smiddle just be very, very smooth. We haven't seen any of the sudden sort of fighting that we've seen a lot of other drivers had to do with their cars through this track. So Smiddle just keeping it smooth, keeping it consistent, and crucially for him, keeping Stefenko behind him.
Yeah, only just though. Stefenko is doing everything he can, absolutely everything. He's using every millimeter of the track, but let's rejoin the battle for 5th position as Blazek gets a good run on Dolezal. He's going to have the inside line at turn 3 as well, but it looked like actually Dolezal a lot later on the brakes heading into the corner and just kind of holds off that Lenovo Legion car for the meantime as they make their way into the double left-handers at turns 5 and 6. You can see the dirty air effect just washing out that Lenovo Legion car, that understeer effect that he gets through these high-speed left-handed corners. Over 200 kilometers per hour they're taking these corners in these incredible Formula hybrid cars. And back on board with the leading pair as they now have to navigate through these very high-speed double left-handers in the middle of the circuit. And Stefenko, as we mentioned, just using all of the track. We've seen him in the grass. We've seen him on the curbing. We've seen him doing absolutely everything he can. He's well off the circuit there, possibly even losing time as Kostelik, it looks like, or Zubek, excuse me, is going to get a little bit in the way as they've got some more. Of course, it is a very short lap here at the Red Bull Ring, which means more traffic. The shorter the lap is, the more likely you are to actually encounter... Oh, and Dolezal has retired from the race. That is very surprising. I'm not sure if that's a mechanical issue with the car or some sort of hardware issue with his sim racing setup. I don't know the details of what's happened there, but that is very disappointing for the man that is involved in that 2nd place battle for the championship. But Stefenko piling the pressure onto Michael Smiddle once again, less than a car length between the pair of them as they head through turn 3, turn 4, and Michael Smiddle again feels the need to go defensive into turns 5 and will not need to go defensive into turn 6. But again, you can see just how much of the road Martin Stefenko is using there. He is all over the place, just doing everything he can, and it's working well. He's right up the back of the 2018 champion. However, he's just not been able to find a way past, or even honestly to find a way to go side by side. And there you can see Peter Dolezal walking away. I can only imagine the frustration he's feeling right now, and he's just thinking about how this is going to affect his championship. After this race, there's only 2 more races to go. and he's going to have to really hope for some good luck on his part, some bad luck for his competitors, as we start lap 36 now with the leaders. And actually, Michael Schmidl opened up a pretty decent gap through the final corner and into turn 1 as well, too, as we go on board with Polesny, or have a look at Polesny from the offboard. And he is closing in on Chlebets, but I don't think it's quite enough. It was 1.9 seconds last lap, but again, he's only got less than a handful of laps to go. Is it going to be enough to close in on that Alza Gaming car? I'm not sure, Chris.
I don't think it's going to be. It's just under 2 seconds a lap. He may well get there, but it's going to be very questionable as to whether he's going to have anything left in those tyres. If Polesny manages it, that's going to be an amazing drive, and I might have to rethink my drive of the day vote. Of course, with the sad retirement of Dolazon, who I was going to bestow that upon, and it could well go to Polesny, starting on the Contra-Strategy, pitting very late, and maintaining a 4th position and possible podium. But once again, penultimate lap then, 37 to 38, Stefanko chasing down Schmidl. But everything Stefanko has thrown at the Predator Red car, Schmidl has had an answer for it. So Stefanko has just got to just rely on that all-important mistake we were talking about earlier. And oh, here's another battle, is Jan Sikora. As I think he's just gone past Jaroslav Honzik. That's for 7th position. He's got Kostanik right ahead of him. Oh, that's getting very close. But he too is on those ultra soft tyres and making the most of them. Oh, but so's Kostanik actually. So if Sikora does manage to get past Zubek, oh mind you, gap between Zubek and Kostanik is about 10 seconds. So they're good, but they're not that good. They're not going to close down that kind of gap in that kind of amount of time. Through the final 2 turns, Schmidl, as you said earlier, Justin, has built up a little bit of a lead, and again, Stefanko pushing very, very hard, but you're still seeing Schmidl contemplating those defensive lines as we are now on the final lap. Will Schmidl make it an absolutely incredible record, or will Stefanko finally be able to usurp the king? We only have a few kilometers left to answer that question.
Yeah, it's going to be very close regardless of who comes out on top, but everybody's eyes are going to be on Michael Schmidl as he makes his way through turn 9. Meanwhile, the battle for 7th position is really hotting up, as well as Zubek is coming under immense pressure from Jan Sikora and Jaroslav Honzik as well in hot pursuit. Zubek and Honzik on the softs, the rather worn softs at this point, whereas Jan Sikora in the Lynx car is on that fresh set of ultra softs. He wasn't able to make his way past before turn 3 as he makes a dive up the inside though into turn 4. Turn 5, excuse me. It hasn't quite worked out for him there, but at least he doesn't have Honzik pulling up alongside him as Michael Schmidl makes his way into the penultimate corner past the pit entry, and it looks like the Predator Red car is going to claim victory. No big moments for him this time as he makes his way through the final corner, and it's going to be another victory for Michael Schmidl in the Acer Predator Red car, and Martin Stefanko comes home in 2nd position. Meanwhile, Sikora is going to finish in 8th. He was not able to find a way past Zubek. Again, it's very difficult to find a way past once you get past turn 3 on this circuit. Meanwhile, Polesny, as you predicted, Chris, has caught right up to the back of Chlebets, but I don't think he's going to be able to find a way past. It's very, very close. I mean, less than a car length, less than half a car length between the two of them as they cross the line, and just an incredible race. I mean, that's an instant classic. Just really, really fantastic stuff from all of our drivers. You really got to feel for Peter Dolezal, though. Whatever happened to him in this race, that's got to be really frustrating. But Robin Lucas in the Sandisk car is going to come home for a championship point. And this is how the race looked at the end. In the end, it was less than 4/10 between Schmidl and Stefanko, and then about a 29-second gap down to Chlebets in the Alza Gaming car. Polesny again finishing nearly right alongside of him and picking up the fastest lap as well. Blazek in the end finishes ahead of Kostulik, just a second and a half or so between those guys, and then Zubek, Sikora, Honzik, Lucas, and Prohaska with Dolezal. And taking a look at the standings, of course, Michael Schmidl still at the top with 254 points. Martin Stefanko, though, extends his lead in 2nd with 131. Blazek now in 3rd with 119. Dolezal, after not scoring any points, moved down into 4th with that 113 that he started on. Meanwhile, Chlebets is going to close in a little bit on Dolezal with 97 points. Polesny in 6th now with 85, just 12 adrift of Chlebets.
Yeah, it was the toughest one. I was sweating right from the start because Martin was really quick today, and he was a little bit better, especially on the brakes and at the exit of the corners. But I was trying to play with the MGU and try to cover him off. It was quite close to Austin, but this one was much harder for me because Martin was faster everywhere. The main key today was to be on the pole position, and it was kind of magic lap, and I was kind of speechless after that lap because it was on the limit in every corner. I made it, so that was the key of winning the race.
It was very close, but obviously I'm not happy with the result because I knew I had the pace to win. I was quicker throughout most of the race. It's not ideal, but P2 was maximum today because all the time I gained due to slipstream. I lost it in the corners due to dirty air, so there was no way past unless Michael made a mistake. There were a few little mistakes, but nothing too dramatic. So I tried to do the undercut, but it was impossible to gain time. I don't think I'm missing any pace. It's just about getting the lap together in qualifying. Michael managed to do that quite well. I haven't. I missed like 2/10 in the qualifying. So yeah, Michael just did a really good job. So yeah, he deserves it.
And now we'll hear from the third place man, Chlebets, who says, I'm definitely happy with another podium today. I had a good strategy, but I made it unnecessarily harder for myself by making 2 mistakes. Luckily, it had a happy ending. Polesny was flying like a rocket today. He had so much grip, and I knew the last 2 corners would be difficult, but I know how to defend. Surely, I want to be on the podium again, but also I need to work on my focus and want to get closer to the top 2 guys. And here is your podium from the Red Bull Ring. I want to say a big thank you, of course, to the pitcrewonline.net, who are partners for these English broadcasts. It is Chlebets who gets 3rd position, Stefanko in 2nd, and your 2018 Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP champion, it is Michael Schmidl. He, of course, won it last time out, but he does pick up another win. So thanks to Chris and all of the people at VGP for putting this together. A huge thank you, and we will see you next time for round 11.